Okay, I'm going to start with a couple of provocative questions. Is Anthropic a far-right leaning organization, or is it just politically clueless? Why didn't Chloe or anyone at Anthropic use Claude to check her speech? That is mind-blowing to me. Before that, let's just first, I'll show you some of her speech later on. But this is a screen grab from the YouTube channel, and she spoke at the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship. The Alliance says free speech is important to it, but it's turned off comments on its video. This is always makes me amused, right? Yeah, I'm into free speech, but I'm not interested in your opinion, and you can't talk amongst yourselves about, whatever we're saying. So anyway, this is her, and then here's her LinkedIn page. So I did some research on her, and I think she's a humanist, and I believe she's sincere. I don't believe she's a skeptic or anything like that. Um, and so here's her education. She got her BA at Berkeley, 2013. And then around 10 years later, she gets her a Master of Philosophy, theology. Says she helped lead Ignatian retreats and formation for young adults focused on exploring the imagination through art. So she's definitely a person, again, she wants all people to be happy, all people to fulfill their potential. I don't believe she wants people to be judged harshly. She talked a little bit about that somewhere, that she had gone through some difficult times. So anyway, although some of this will sound critical of her, I just want to be clear. I don't mean it to be. Um, so here is the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship, and of course it's in the name, right? Citizenship, right? ARC is being established as an international community with a vision for a better world where every citizen can prosper. Not human, not person, not folks, right? Citizen. This organization basically is of the opinion that the problem with many countries is that they've let in too many immigrants, illegal or otherwise, that don't share their Judeo-Christian values. And by the way, the whole Judeo-Christian values for a boomer like me is somewhat of a laugher, because when I was younger, no, you didn't lump Judeo-Christian values together. Judaism and Christianity were very separate, very separate. And in fact, you would say almost adversarial. So, but now in 2026, these two are best buddies. I mean, okay, but I won't go down that rabbit hole for now. And here's another one of their favorite speakers, Konstantin Kisin. And you can do some research about him. But the main thing is that if I'm Anthropic, I would not have her speak here. But if she did speak, she would need to address things that this organization stands for that Anthropic would not stand for. So the whole thing about citizenship, Anthropic should say, to us, citizenship, is all humans, if that's what they believe. But because they didn't say anything, what they're basically saying is, yeah, Anthropic, yeah, we're with them. Anthropic is for citizens. It's not for other people who don't get us, right? um, then here's the advisory board intellectuals. So the alliance positions itself as an anti-woke Davos. Now, anti-woke Davos, whatever. I mean, that's just anyway. That's it's a little bit amusing to me, because I don't think Davos is woke necessarily. Many people would say, no, it's really just about the Western wealthy elites. The woke thing is just something they window dressing to make themselves look good, but they're just a bunch of rich, greedy people, right? It's like, and then it's to promote traditional Western values, structures, yeah, blah 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 blah. And there's a free speech that they're not really interested. They talk it, but they don't walk it. So one of the before I get to her speech and the things that she said, and the thing that's really mind-blowing to me, is one of the issues with AI is it being used to kill people, right? To use AI to scan through data and say, okay, this person should be killed. And I believe it is. And that's here, if you ask AI, lavender and gospel are in Israel. And Israel, we already know, it's a proven fact, that Israel doctored photos using AI to make it look like some journalists were working with Hamas, right? So they've used AI to basically either kill or justify killing people. We already know they've used it to justify it. We can't be for certain that they're using this stuff to actually make targets, but I think we can be reasonably certain. But again, this is not something she addressed at the conference. She didn't address the citizenship issue, and she didn't address one of the biggest issues I feel, well, the most consequential to somebody's life is AI being used to target you. So we'll go to her video and we'll just, let me just play this.
And you really don't need to understand anything about this graph other than this, which is these models get predictably better with more compute. And the more energy, the more data, the more training that goes into them, and they get smarter, and they get smarter about everything. And so with more money, which buys compute, you can essentially purchase intelligence. And that's
Okay, so I'm just gonna look at that. She said this in a minute 30 or whatever. And so she said, these models get predictably better with more compute, and the more energy, the more data, the more training that goes into them, and they get smarter. She's equating more energy, more smarter, right? And smarter about everything. And so with more money, which buys compute, you can essentially purchase intelligence. So what some people at this Alliance for Citizenship are hearing is great. We're the smart people with AI, and we put more money into it, and we can identify more of these people that need to be removed or taken out, however you want to call it, and protect our Western values. That's how they're hearing this. But she doesn't seem to recognize that that's how they'd be hearing it, because I would have put this a little bit better. But even if you just take away this political left field stuff, it's just from a data science point of view, I feel wrong. I believe any data scientist that is reasonably educated on the subject would say no, that has not been proven to be true. In fact, if you can look on YouTube, Sabine Felder just did a video recently. She says, current AI models have 3 unfixable problems, and one of them is that they've reached a point where no matter how much energy or data you put into them, they don't get better. They actually start to get worse. Now, I've noticed this. Other people have noticed this. So they're trying to fix this with other ways, not by putting more energy into it. So just on a technical level, she said stuff that I thought was, I wouldn't have said. So let's go on to the next part. What I did, and what I can't believe she didn't do, or someone in Anthropic, maybe the communications department, is take the script of her speech and ask Claude what it thinks. Okay. So here I broke up her speech into the timestamps, and I have clips of the videos. And I gave it to Claude, and I said, I want you to read this document. After each section, provide a criticism that an expert in AI, economics, politics might give. Don't be nitpicky, just places where the paragraph will get a raised eyebrow, because there are many for me. So it goes into this. Now remember, this is from Anthropic. I paid $23 a month. She gets it, I guess, I would assume for free. In fact, I would say she's paid more than $100,000, whatever her salary is, to use it. It's like, why would she use it? It's just, that's the most mind-boggling thing of this whole episode. But, if you believe in a Kafka-esque absurdist universe, then, well, it's just another Tuesday, right? So it goes into the with more money buys more compute thing that she said I showed you before. And it says, the scaling laws are now genuinely contested. Several major labs, including OpenAI, have reporting hitting diminishing returns on pure compute, which is why the field has pivoted towards inference time, compute, synthetic data, and architectural changes. Like presenting scaling as a clean, self-perpetuating flywheel glosses over significant uncertainty about whether this cycle continues indefinitely or hits a wall. Right now, I would say the consensus is that it hits a wall. Whether it gets past the wall, we don't know. So that was the first thing. If she had just asked Claude, it would said, no, you shouldn't say that. You should actually just say this. Claude would have given her the paragraph to read. So, and then she doubles down on that when she says, when Claude 8 can build Claude 9, which can build Claude 9, which can build, Claude 10, like that's, again, I think anybody in AI or data would be like, are you nuts? What you're basically saying is the current version of Claude can build all the new ones. It doesn't even need humans anymore. Just let it go, improving itself. And, soon we'll have AGI or whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, it's just an absurd claim to make. Why any data scientist at Anthropic wouldn't have said, hey, Claude, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't think you can say that, okay? So again, just blowing to me. Has a problem with the 10,000 security vulnerabilities she talks about, but we'll leave that alone. She talks about, she's sort of like threatening, like, if you don't get on the wheel of this, you're going to be left behind. And I don't think it's a humanist position, or you should explain it. Well, what about the people that don't get on the wheel or can't afford to get on the wheel? And then her thing about the Tylenol fear response. And this is the most interesting, right? One of the more interesting. She says, we actually see what we're calling functional emotions in these models. If someone tells a model, I've just taken 16,000 milligrams of Tylenol, we can see something that looks like fear activate before the model responds. But what does Claude say? Claude says, Anthropic's own interpretability researchers are careful to hedge this. When I asked Claude about this text, I didn't say it was from Anthropic or Claude or Chloe or anybody. It assumes it's just from me that I wrote this stuff. So think about it. Anthropic's AI is saying, no, do not say this. We would not say this, right? We would hedge. We would not say this. So if Chloe or anybody at Anthropic had put her speech through it, it would have said, oh, by the way, at Anthropic, we're very careful about this subject. Again, just mind-blowing that she didn't do this. So let's keep going down. Talks about bad training, producing broadly evil models, praising dictators. And it says here, this is a real finding, but the framing is sensationalized. What the research actually shows is that the reward hacking during training produces unpredictable out-of-distribution behaviors, which is important and concerning. But broadly, evil and character corruption are philosophical interpretations layered on top of what are mechanically generalization failures. An ML researcher would push back hard on the character metaphor as doing explanatory work. So I really feel she muddles that whole part of it. And this is a part that is her domain. She should not muddle anything in her domain, which are the moral, ethical issues of this technology. Then she goes into this, the job chart, and then she says the romantic refrain, gardening is care, care is love, is meaningful for a faith audience, but sidesteps the harder distribution question, which I brought up before. Who benefits from the productivity gains of AI? And how does it flow to people doing the safe jobs or to capital? This is the big question. This is really what I feel she should have read and then rewritten her whole script, because you need to answer these questions, I believe. Otherwise, you just come off as a shill for people that are in the Alliance for Citizenship that want to use AI to basically get rid of people that aren't citizens, right? That don't follow their, quote, traditional values. And then at the end, it says, what does it say? It says, overall, the talk is thoughtful and well-intentioned. Yeah, it's well-intentioned, but it consistently resolves genuine uncertainty in the direction that makes the stake feel highest, which is rhetorically effective, but leaves a faith audience less equipped to push back on the labs that it might seem. And That's exactly how I felt about it. It's like, well, wait, like you're supposed to be explaining at the beginning of the thing. You're saying, okay, there are many industries or groups that would use this technology, and I help them understand how they can use it. And then she says, well, the problem is most people don't understand it. And then, ironically, to me, is it's sort of a textbook case of a person who doesn't understand. Like she is a textbook case of a person who doesn't understand AI and is now telling these people like this is how it works, but she's making claims that AI people would be like, whoa, whoa, wait. I mean, it's just nuts. Again, I don't want to be critical of her, but really, I mean, it's just too much. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this, and until next time.